Hi guys, welcome to the gun shop with me, John, and today we're going to be doing a little review of this. This is a Beretta 687 EELL Diamond Pigeon, or as we just call it, the Beretta EELL. First off, EELL. It stands for extra extra lovely lovely, or extra extra luso luso, or extra extra lovely lovely, because it is not just a EL extra lovely, it is double extra, double lovely. And it doesn't bear a lot of thinking about. I'm sure in Italian that sounds great, but it doesn't really translate particularly well. But EELL sounds great, and that works very well. Or the Diamond Pigeon if you want to be, a little bit better than your Silver Pigeon colleagues. There is the top of the range of the 680 series actions. Generally speaking, internally it's identical. So the top of the range is what you see here, and it is absolutely beautiful. So, without further ado, come in close, let's have a little look. So, starting at the back, we have a wooden heel plate on the game model. So this is a 30-inch fixed choke game model. Before we start, I suppose it's worth mentioning, you have a hand-finished wooden butt plate, which is a real nice bit of luxury by comparison to the Beretta range that just have the bolt-on plates, which do fit very well, but they don't have this seamless, perfect look. Grade 5 wood. We like the wood. The wood is very, very good, actually. On this particular model, you'll struggle. You can look for a long time, you wouldn't find one that looks anything like this, and this is absolutely stunning. Beretta have always been a bit off on their quality control for wood, in my opinion. They're not bad, but you do end up with a little bit of... The occasional EELL doesn't look this good. That's all I really have to say. Although it's a very, very good option, you just have to be careful, just be careful, because there are some out there that are less lovely, and they do have a lot of variation as well, like with all guns. So, moving on, you have the laser checkering and game semi-pistol grip. On the Sporters they do have a full pistol grip and palm swell. Moving on, we're onto the real EELL part here. The EELL part is the side plate action. More than anything, that's what makes it stand out from its counterparts. The only other side plate they do is the EL, but they don't actually do that in this country, or certainly don't import it. I don't know if they even do it anymore. They made a few variants, but it's not a stock item. So you have, very quickly, automatic safety, done on top lever like all Beretta 680 series, with a selector for your single non-adjustable silver or metal coloured trigger. So the side plate action, not really any different to a box lock action or the trigger plate action that is a Beretta if you look at it like that. What they've done is they've taken a little bit out of the side and they've cut a plate and they've put it on. All it's done really is just increase the engraving surface, and they have used it very, very well. I mean, there is no denying that this is a beautiful, beautiful gun. So on this side you have two cock pheasants flying with some beautiful scenery and some absolutely awesome scroll with a nice bit of acanthus, and it is put together very, very well. On the bottom you have a English or grey partridge and a Beretta EELL, which is always lovely. And on the other side you've got a pair of woodcock by the look of it, which is lovely as well. On the whole, you cannot complain at this gun. It is beautiful looking. My only real thing about the engraving before we move on is if you look at it as individual parts, it's not that great. Because it's not hand engraved, you do sort of lack a little bit of, what's the best word, depth, perhaps, if you take it piece by piece. So if you take this bit of scroll work here, it's not the most beautiful piece of scroll work in the world. If you take the pheasant, it's not the most beautiful pheasant in the world. However, you have to step back and look at the thing as a whole. By the way, these engraved trunnion or hinge discs are absolutely awesome. That is a thing of beauty. There is no denying that that is an unnecessarily beautiful thing. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. You have to take it as a whole, because if you look at it as its parts, perhaps they're not the most stunning in the world. Apart from these car fences here, they're lovely too. And there are some really lovely bits. However, if you pick out some of the less lovely bits, you could probably fall out of love with it. But you do just have to step back and look at it as a picture and go, wow, it is beautiful. It really is beautiful. Moving on to forend, we have rounded game style forend, or American style forend, whatever you want to call it. Laser checkered again, and if you have a little look on this one, actually you'll notice there's a little inclusion. This is probably just filler, and the laser hasn't hit the filler too well. Filler on a £6 gun, you ask? All of this beauty you see in the wood is actually flaws, and the flaws that we see in the wood, you know, are what make it beautiful. So occasionally the flawed piece of wood won't be perfect, and it does need a little bit of filler. So, you know, they did ask if I wanted to send this one back, but the wood was too damn good to sacrifice, really. And I didn't want to give it up in case I got something that was less beautiful. Which would have been heartbreaking, because this is absolutely stunning. The barrels are very unexciting Beretta barrels. Very, very well made, I might add, but they are just the standard solid mid-rib, untapered. I think that's what, a 4 or 5mm top rib with a single bead sight at the end, and fixed choke, 1/4 chokes. So, yeah, it's beautiful. Let's go back out and talk about it in a little bit more subjective, less lusty manner. So, if an Onyx Beretta is £1,400 and this is £6 grand, why is it £6 grand? This is the real question of the day. Firstly, is this wood. The wood is beautiful. Wood like this is vastly rarer than a grade 1 piece of wood. Let's say if you were to cut a big tree, you got 100 grade 1 blanks, you'd probably get 20 grade 3 blanks, but you might only get 1 or 2 grade 5 blanks. Mostly because cutting the wood around these, you can end up with a lot of wastage. Sap holes, inclusions, cracks. So, you know, it's rare. Whereas a grade 1 piece of wood you can pick up for 40 or 50 pounds, you can pick up a grade 5 piece of wood, it's going to cost you a minimum of 500 really, that looks like that, with the guaranteed quality that is behind this. Secondly, engraving. Although the engraving is, you know, still mostly done by machine, if not all entirely done by machine, it's still a much nicer, more delightful pattern than your standard Berettas. You know, they've put a lot of thought into this, it flows beautifully, and it is a work of art. Think of it like you're buying a copy of a painting is still very expensive, but not as expensive as the original. So you are looking at more effort, more time on a machine, plus to actually cut this out and put this on, although done by a machine, still takes more work, more class, more skill, and there's a certain amount of finish. The hand finished stock, that's another thing. You know, if you look at a standard Beretta, you can usually see a couple of lines in the finish, sandpaper, swell mark, something like that. Whereas this is a vastly better finish than your standard Beretta. Lastly, you're still paying for that basic silver pigeon inside of this. You know, the mechanical parts of the 680 series action are near as damn it perfect as over and unders go. So, why wouldn't you want to have a near as damn it good, brilliant action in a gun like this? You know, you get the looks and you get the quality. And lastly, as with all things, it's £6,000 so that not everyone has one. It's the reason a Mercedes is 60 grand and a Golf is 20 grand. It's so that if you want a Mercedes, there's only one on the road to every 3 Golfs, because you can buy 3 Golfs from one Mercedes. However, if you want to have an exclusive looking gun, this is it. So it is a little bit of a posing piece, at the same time as being absolutely stunning. I love it. Like, they are brilliant guns. But like I said, they've done so many different patterns over the years. There's 1,000 different pieces of wood out there, so just be careful when you come to buy one. Second hand, you can pick them up quite reasonably, but again, I think this latest design spec is wonderful. So go and check one out, see what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts. As I say, they do handle very, very well. Certainly a little bit more effort put into the final handling than there is on a bit front heavy. As I say, it's the game model fixed choke, so you do end up with a very lightweight stock at the back. They're wonderful. Go and shoot one, see what you think. If you're a Beretta fan and want the top of the range without going into the bigger, heavier DT10, DT11 range, ASCs, see what you think. Let me know. Take care.